Bom dia, boa tarde a todos e todas. Meu nome é André Portela, eu sou o diretor do Centro FGV EESP Clear, o Centro de Aprendizagem em Avaliação e Resultados para o Brasil e África Lusófona, e é um centro que está baseado na Fundação Getúlio Vargas do Brasil e que tem como missão desenvolver e estimular a agenda de tomadas de decisões informadas por evidências. Antes de darmos início ao webinário, eu gostaria de fazer um comunicado a pedido da Fundação Getúlio Vargas. O comunicado é o seguinte: as manifestações que vamos ouvir na atividade de hoje representam exclusivamente as opiniões dos seus autores e não necessariamente a posição institucional da Fundação Getúlio Vargas. Reiteramos também que todos aqui presentes concordaram em participar desse evento de forma espontânea e, com isso, autorizam o uso de sua imagem para essa transmissão, que poderá ficar disponível posteriormente nos canais oficiais da FGV. Feito este comunicado, eu gostaria de saudar todos e todas aqui presentes, e, em especial, citar e saudar os nossos palestrantes. Então, em nome da FGV EESP Clear, gostaria de cumprimentar o senhor Dugan Fraser, que é o gerente-geral da Iniciativa Global de Avaliação, o DEI, a professora Gabriela Pérez Yurahuan, que é diretora do Clear América Latina e Caribe, o professor João Mário França, diretor do Instituto de Pesquisa e Estratégia Econômica do Ceará, IPES, aqui do Brasil, o senhor Pablo Lira, diretor do Instituto Jones dos Santos Neves, do governo do Espírito Santo, outro estado aqui do Brasil também, o senhor Ian Goldman, assessor em sistemas de avaliação e evidência do Clear África Anglófona, e o senhor João Tavares, diretor do Serviço de Planeamento Estratégico, Monitorização e Avaliação do Ministério das Finanças de Cabo Verde, moderador aqui de nosso webinário. Também gostaria de agradecer ao Instituto Camões, nosso parceiro na iniciativa dessa convocatória de avaliação executiva, na figura da senhora Ana Diogo. Muito obrigado, Ana, por todo o apoio que vocês sempre têm nos dado. E muito obrigado a todos e todas aqui virtualmente presentes no nosso webinário de hoje. É com grande alegria que damos início a essa atividade. Nós nos dedicamos à organização deste webinário porque entendemos a importância da avaliação dentro da gestão pública e de como isso pode contribuir para a melhoria dos resultados das políticas públicas. Muitas vezes, na gestão pública, é necessário tomar decisões ágeis a partir das informações disponíveis. A avaliação executiva funciona como uma ferramenta para a gestão e a tomada de decisões, porque pode fornecer evidência de forma rápida, dinâmica, flexível. Fortalecer essas práticas de avaliação de políticas públicas e o uso de evidências para a tomada de decisão é uma agenda muito importante para nós do FGV EESP Clear. Nesse contexto, esse webinário é uma oportunidade para discutirmos diferentes experiências sobre o uso de avaliações executivas na gestão pública. Além do lançamento da Convocatória de Avaliação Executiva, vamos conhecer algumas experiências e compartilhar conhecimentos de atores importantes na área de monitoramento e avaliação, tais como México, África do Sul e Brasil aqui presentes. Então, eu não quero tomar muito tempo de todos vocês, temos muito que ouvir, aprender, debater e discutir. Então, eu gostaria de saudar todos vocês e agradecer a presença aqui e passar rapidamente a palavra ao Dugan, que está aqui conosco, que é o gerente-geral da Iniciativa Global de Avaliação do Banco Mundial, e o Dugan gentilmente cedeu uma parte do tempo dele para saudar-nos todos aqui. Dugan, muito obrigado por sua presença. Gostaria de passar, então, a palavra de saudação para você.
Thank you, Andre. Very nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation to participate. And it's great to see such a distinguished group of people talking about this very important issue. I'm not going to be long. I want to talk very briefly about the Global Evaluation Initiative and talk about the idea that being able to do evaluations more quickly is a really important element of growing the field and making evaluation more fit for purpose. I'm going to share a very quick presentation on the global evaluation with you right now. I hope you can see the slides.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I went and did it at the end, so I'm going to just quickly flick back to the beginning. But I want to just explain what we understand to be the major value add that evaluation provides when we do it well. Because when we do evaluation well, what we get is better evidence, and better evidence means that people are in a position to develop and implement better policies, and that leads to improvements in people's lives. Despite the way we think about it, in many ways, life, especially for poor people, improved drastically over the last 50 years. And I think since COVID and the way COVID has rolled back a lot of those gains, we're now suddenly realizing the importance of sustaining improvements in quality of life. And in that endeavor, evaluation has a lot to offer. So what the Global Evaluation Initiative does is it brings together governments, citizens, experts, and a range of different kinds of institutions to help countries improve their monitoring and evaluation systems and build their capacities. The idea really is that we want to be adding value and taking forward the notion that better evidence is going to increase transparency, deepen accountability, and lead to better decision making. The core values that underpin the GEI are the idea that a program in one country is going to look different to a program in another country. And that's because we understand that every context has a history, it has a set of relationships and traditions. And if a monitoring and evaluation capacity building program is going to work, it's got to speak to what that country's context and history looks like. We want to be building inclusive systems that take advantage of the capacity of technology to give people who have traditionally been excluded space to participate. We want to build systems that are sustainable and based on collaboration. We want to be culturally responsive, meaning that we want to be able to take account of what traditions, culture, and practice look like. We want to be innovative, but more than anything, and I think it really requires all of the above, we want to be excellent. We want to be offering something that is high quality and that really adds value to governance processes. We understand that the Sustainable Development Goals are not going to be achievable and can't be reported on if we don't have stronger monitoring and evaluation systems. And we know that the data tells us that without better M&E systems, we're not going to reach the SDGs. We also are very, very mindful of the effect that COVID has had on people globally. And we're very aware of the fact that COVID has shown that we have limited capacities to act together when there is an emergency. As the climate catastrophe becomes more likely, we really need to start thinking about what it is that we need to be doing as a species, not even as countries, but as an entire species, to be able to work together to respond. And we can see, for example, how vaccines are being so badly distributed, the hoarding that's going on, the fact that, for example, less than 10% of people in Africa have been vaccinated. These are all evidence that we need to do better. We need to work more collaboratively so that we're able to respond quickly to crises. And a key element of excellence has to be a consideration of how long things take. How long it takes to produce an evaluation is a really important variable. If you have an important policy decision and it takes you 2 years to do an evaluation to produce guidance, that's not acceptable. It's too late. The evidence comes in slowly. The policymaker has moved on. And so the idea that we need to be able to produce evaluative evidence more quickly is a key priority for people working in monitoring and evaluation capacity strengthening. And as I said previously, this relates to COVID, it relates to the climate change, but it also relates to more systemic long-term challenges that we face, such as inequality, rising unemployment, and the sudden growth in poverty that we've seen over the last year and a half since COVID. What the GEI, the Global Evaluation Initiative, seeks to do is to join a whole lot of people in this common mission. So we're talking about bilateral and multilateral organizations. We're talking about M&E organizations and the private sector, individual practitioners, centering on governments from developing countries, civil societies, academic institutions, and people who work specifically to build M&E capacity. The GEI seeks to build a culture of evidence-informed decision-making to strengthen a cadre of evaluators and M&E specialists in developing countries. We want to generate and share M&E knowledge, and we want to optimize partnerships and operationalize knowledge sharing. And that's the framework that the GEI operates within. We've got a conceptual framework that talks about the enabling environment, the institutions in which capacity is required, and then thinking about how individual people are able to do monitoring and evaluation. And our target groups are government institutions. Within governments, we want to be focusing on particularly center of government entities, either at the national, subnational, or the metropolitan level, who are responsible for acting as guardians of monitoring and evaluation. And we're also very mindful of the fact that good monitoring and evaluation capacity is built not only by and within government, but also outside government, in academia, in voluntary organizations for professional evaluation, in civil society, and in private firms. And we see those as all important stakeholders. We understand ourselves to be working with country governments at the outer edge. We work with implementation and associate partners, and we have a group of core partners who support our work, which are our donors. The Global Evaluation Initiative, and I'm going to quickly stop sharing my screen there, is very proud to partner with Clear, Lusophone Africa, and Brazil, based at FGV. Gaby's here, she's from the Clear LAC Center in Mexico. Ian works with Clear AA in Johannesburg in South Africa, working in Anglophone Africa. And we see this as an exciting example of the kinds of collaborations that we want to achieve globally. We think that thinking about how to do evaluations more quickly is going to help us respond more effectively, produce better evidence, and lead to better decision making. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, André. Back to you.
Muito obrigado, Dugan. Uma excelente apresentação sobre a iniciativa global de avaliação e as missões, né, a missão da iniciativa e o que estamos fazendo aqui todos juntos, né, tentando puxar para frente, empurrar para frente essa missão.